Here we go, folks, with Thanksgiving weekend inbound. We also have some big Sagittarian fire energy waiting for us, but there's a little problem in the mix. There's a developing T-square on Neptune that by the end of the week, I think all of us might be saying, damn it, Neptune. Here's your CIRF report for November 24th through the 30th, 2022. And it is obviously the last week in November. And so yeah, don't have to cross into December yet. That'll be for the next CIRF report. But here's our summary slide for this last week in November. Energies from the astrology. We are going to be going through day by day what these energies are like from the astrological standpoint. We are going to be going over the collective dreams and DreamBot. There's some big activity in the collective unconscious, and that's represented by the green circle right in the middle. This is absolutely 100% looking at the Sagittarian energy, the Jupiter, sextile Pluto, all Sagittarius, expansive, big, fiery. That's right in the middle because Sagittarius is just all there. Sun's there, Venus there, Mercury's there. Lots of influence there, as well as some key alignments with its ruler Jupiter. So the DreamBot clearly right in the middle of the mix there. Now the I-Ching says treading carefully, and I believe that is the next biggest energy. And according to the I-Ching, it is the biggest energy coming up for the next 2 weeks is a T-square on Neptune. And part of that T-square includes the stellium in Sagittarius. So Sagittarius is included in this T-square, but it's going to cause you trickery, illusion, and it's going to make you question things. So you got this impulsive Sagittarian, let's go, impulsive action, but then Neptune throws it in, and so as immediately as you're starting to gallop forward on this flat terrain in front of you, you stop and realize, wait, what? That, I believe, is the energy coming up in this next week. All right, let's get going, get started. Hey, have you subscribed yet? Make sure you find us over on YouTube. We're also on Rumble and BitChute. You don't have to do all three. Just remember that we're there on all those platforms. Pick your favorite one, and I'll post those every week on Wednesdays. Shout out to Pam Whitaker, who is not Pam Whitaker. It's actually Terry. Most of us know that. She says, stand by for my Sag influence, y'all. Big hearts, 8 ups. Everybody loved it. Terry, congratulations. I do want to just briefly look at this. This is all our comments, and not for me to say has the next with 6, but I want you to go back and read some of these if you haven't already, because they really mean a lot. And some of them, like y'all love, is very in-depth and taking notes as she goes. So I just want to thank you for putting these comments down here. They're very meaningful. I read all of them, and I think you should too. Lots of stuff here to digest. So please consider doing that. All right. Enough with that. Let's get to the DreamBot. Having a hard time seeing my shortcut keyboard. All right, number 1 word in today's DreamBot is ass. So the second word, kick. Kick ass. Ass kicking. Stable, vivid, attractive, epic. So that whole first grouping is huge. So if this is predictive in any way, which there's no way I can know if it's predictive or not. Sometimes we have just, this is what the dreams are. Other times these are spot on what some of the headlines you're going to see between 1 week or 2 days and 6 weeks. So you just never know, but there could be a big, epic, vivid ass kicking going on. Interesting, eh? So there's a lot of big energies here in the red arrows. This is a meme with a lot of engagement with another human being, a lot of action. It's like an action movie. Then in the orange arrows, it's just extreme, epic, big. It's just big words like vivid, attractive, epic. And there's more. And then there's the blue arrows. It's about movement. It's about, should I hold my ground? It's the extremes of movement. Hold my ground and don't move, or full steam ahead. So it's just one or the other extreme. I thought that was really interesting. All right. So those are the energies from the collective. We've been talking about this last week for a while. And it looks like this T-square is developing with these reds up here. So this is Mars square Neptune. That'll be part of the T-square, and it's pretty solid. It went perfect on the 19th, and so that energy was the extreme there. But there's some trines in here, but not enough to overcome what I'm going to show you next. So day one, this is Thursday, this is Thanksgiving Day on the 24th. It's happy Thanksgiving, but we initiate a T-square on Neptune. Now, this is just a little appetizer, if you will. I'm going to darken this just a touch. The appetizer means that we're going to have the moon is going to develop into a T-square on Neptune and Jupiter. So it even could be positive, wise, expansive dreams, fantasy, but it can be extreme. It can be indulgent. So we're trapped in this. A T-square means we've got some conflicted energy. There's a big focus on the Neptune part of it. And Neptune loves to play tricks on us. And what we see may not be what truth is. And we all know that. But it's going to be harder than ever this week to get to the truth. And not just this week. It's going to get worse the week after. Here's what I mean by that. So we've got Mercury is in a detriment in Sagittarius. Now, he's not in the T-square just yet, but he will be. So we're going to have T-square for a day or two, and then we're going to take a break. And then we're going to start the long duration T-square because Mercury is going to come in and fill this spot, and then Venus is going to take over, and then the sun will take over. All that's going to take place between Thanksgiving and December 11th. Okay. Until then, we have the grand focus here is on finding truth. Now, what I wanted to talk about with Mercury is this is the mind, the rational, the logic that normally we can really ascertain what the truth is. It sifts out from truth from fiction. Well, that's going to end up squared over to Neptune. And so there's this pressure to think. Now, furthermore, Mercury is in a detriment in Sagittarius, so already weakened. So, not to mention, well, the combust stage is over, at least for Mercury, and Venus is just about, well, technically is just out of it. So there is no more combust. We're at full strength with Venus, relationship, love, beauty, and finance is strong here in Sagittarius. It's more of a untethered, expansive, philosophical sort of versions of all these archetypes. But right now, let's just talk about what we have on Thanksgiving. We have a stellium in Sagittarius. So it's a big focus of this expansive, philosophical, wise travel is in there, long distance travel. And that's really appropriate for a lot of us for Thanksgiving. It's a great time of year to have a Sagittarius sun to give us that Sagittarius focus, because it is it's a pleasant feeling. It's almost with this fire energy, it's just the willing, much more willing than when we were in Scorpio to get stuff done and be together and to shine our lights a little bit more with others. And so, good time of year to do that. Show your Thanksgiving. Now with Venus in there, even more so, with your thoughts in there, even though they're in detriment, still the full mind is here. The full mind is accessed, but the rational is weakened. All right, we'll go through that. As we go through this report, we'll explain that in a little more detail when it becomes appropriate. But big stellium in Sagittarius, big fire energy, and then we have this growing T-square on Neptune and Jupiter, and Mars is included in that. So opposition over here. We've already had Mars with trickery, spending a lot of time. Remember, this was earlier in the month. This square went exact over to Neptune. So it's trickery. And what I need to be doing is Mars is in the rational Gemini, adaptable and quick-witted and stuff, but really really easy to second guess yourself as you're getting stuff done. So this exacerbates this. The emotions now, the moon is on this side of the T-square, so brings the emotions into it. And then the quiet ones. The quiet ones are the sextiles. When you got these screaming T-squares happening in oppositions, I call these the quiet opportunities. And this one is a sextile between Pluto and Neptune. It's going to be there for a while, and Jupiter. But there's an opportunity to find power in optimistic dreams, optimistic fantasy. And so there's a power in that. Dreams, even though they're causing you problems in all sorts of things over the course of the next 2 weeks, there's going to be this opportunity here to get power from it. Big, powerful alignment. All right, now on Friday, the T-square with the moon is going to end in Capricorn. So this is right when the moon is entering Capricorn, and this is basically the last of the T-square for now. So everything I mentioned still there. We have now noticed that it's just Jupiter and Pluto in that sextile. Saturday the 26th, now we're going to initiate the T-square. There it is, but with Mercury. So Mercury now, this is the beginning of this full 2-week cycle, and it's only going to intensify. As you're going to see, these are going to develop into a big old square. The moon will progress down around December 1st, I want to say. And where I'm going to show you that chart, even though it's outside of this week. But the moon will be down here. So you'll have 3 in Pisces, a stellium in Pisces squared off to a stellium in Sagittarius. And it looks frightening with all those squares there. But right now, we're just sort of easing our way into it. We've got our feet in the water. And it just reminds us that we need to not be so impulsive, because that can really get you into problems, especially if you have a tendency of escaping, because Neptune is also that planet of escape. And so there's pressure to get out is here as well. The pressure to escape the discomfort that you're living in. Could be an emotion that's there that's not pleasant, but it could be irrational. But you don't know, because Mercury is in detriment. Furthermore, further weakening Mercury is this inconjunct down to Uranus. Uranus in Taurus over the North Node, 3 degrees off, and changing into the future. Massive change of the material world, 5 senses, that's Taurus. Anyway, Uranus is in conjunct with Mercury and Venus. So my main concern here is that, Neptune is throwing a lot of weird stuff at us. And Mercury can't really handle it because it's already in a detriment anyway. But things are changing as we go into the future, making rational mind even worse. So just remember this. We're going to have to somehow sidestep that rational mind, or at least watch your rational mind spinning, like spinning in mud, not getting any traction anywhere. Pros and cons. Maybe you make a list of 50 things in your pros, 50 things in your cons. Like, I don't know. That's typically how it goes with pros and cons. Rational mind has an application in this world, but it can really throw you off on where you need to go. We need to use intuition. We need to use, in human design, it's called our inner authority. So it behooves you. I recommend finding your free human design chart, especially with Mercury detriment. Find your human design chart and see what your inner authority is. Then you can hop on over to YouTube or anywhere else over the internet and figure out what that inner authority means to you. And that'll have an application in when we do the rave conversion as well. Rave mandala is the I-Ching equivalent around the human design zodiac. So anyway, all right, Sunday 27th, we have Mercury sextile Saturn. So this is really interesting because I keep on hammering this. Mercury is a sad state right now. Not sad as an emotion, but sad as in just not able to do the things that he normally can do. He's a little bit slower, a little cloudy head, tough time communicating. So keep thoughts simple. Make sure you're not getting in too complex of rational mind. It will trick you anyway with the Neptune here. But keeping things simple in your mind and your thoughts will be also commensurate or congruent with Saturn. Saturn is a planet of decrease, planet of just the way things are and status quo. Keeping things in tradition. It can also be hardship and challenge, but this is an opportunity. So keeping your thoughts simple, or just recognizing the decline of thinking and just being able to navigate your way without that thinking. And there are ways to do that. Think human design with your inner authority. Then this is an actual opportunity. It's a big opportunity. Anytime you have a sextile, big opportunity. And then Monday, the 28th, we have now Venus is entering the mix, both in the square down to Neptune and also the sextile down to Saturn. So limitations in both of these is actually the opportunity. There's a decrease in relating. There's a decrease in beauty. There's a decrease in sense of finding value in finance, but that is leading to an opportunity. So don't fret when you see the decline of those things. First thoughts and then relating. Perhaps an air of aloofness can actually add to relating love. Why is that? Well, on the 28th, Monday, the moon is down here in Aquarius, conjunct with Saturn. So the Aquariusness gets twofold here, gets a lot more aloof. And so in terms of relating, in terms of Venus, we have kind of an aloofness or an observing standpoint, or individuality becomes, if it's smaller, if it's declining, becomes the opportunity. Okay? Remember that. Because typically with decline comes this fret, like loss and anxiety, causes sympathetic nervous system reaction. Don't let that happen. Be on the lookout for your opportunities this week, okay? When you see decline in any of those areas, look for the opportunity. So now we have the T-square here. It's building. Now we have 2 on this side. but it's basically keep it simple on thoughts, communication, love, bonding, aesthetics. Opportunities will arrive when you simplify these areas. Don't expect too much. Okay? That's hard to do. That's part of the Sagittarian energy, is to be expanding and increasing your horizons. So, in terms of Mercury and Venus, the less is more. The less is opportunity. So don't expect a lot. Then Wednesday, the last day of our CIRF, I invite you to see this coagulated energy. This is the focus. We have stellium with the moon is in an early conjunction with Neptune. And this will go exact. I'm going to throw in another chart for Thursday, the 1st of December, to show you this perfect conjunction. But heavy coagulated, blocked, pressured, conflicted energy. Sagittarian stellium squared off with the Pisces. And so that is a versus. That's a big conflict. Going to be internal. Thoughts can't help you. Rational mind can't help you. Relationships are going to be disturbed there. And then now ego is getting into the mix here. So ego is going to fall prey to Neptune. Ego, if it's feeling this energy alone will be something to escape to. And so that pressure to relieve it will be Neptune showing you, something that tastes good or something that feels good, and go do that. And so watch out for escapism this week, especially with this impulsive Sagittarian energy. I think you're going to get a halfway or maybe half mile down the road and figure out, oops, that I bit off on the wrong thing here. Got to turn back. So it doesn't make it wrong. It's just keep watching, keep feeling, keep assessing your inner authority, your intuition. Stay aware. It's awareness. Don't be thinking so much this week. Now, here's that extra chart I was talking about. This is the first. And the reason why I'm showing this is because it's a perfect conjunction with the moon over Neptune. Moon over Neptune is really dreamy and very illusion. This might be reality overlaid with our physical reality, where you got in some sections of psychology, new, maybe alternative psychology, we're looking at an explanation of schizophrenia as nothing more than the dream, the internal dream function is overlaid with what you're seeing in reality. With your eyes open, you're awake, and it is true. Just tends to be correlated with schizophrenics tend to have a problem sleeping, and when they do, that's when these triggers to the dream network being not shut down while I'm awake, and so you're dreaming and living at the same time. So I think that's an interesting concept there, but that's what this day sort of looks like. Massive conflict again, and it continues for another 10 days. All right, now you see why we're treading carefully according to the I-Ching. The weak and the strong can coexist when the weaker element does not impose upon the stronger one. You can read into that one however you'd like. A relatively humble force or person is having an influence over a stronger one, and for this reason must be particularly careful. In the company of brash people, rushing wildly ahead, thinking Sagittarius, will only bring misfortune. So you just got to watch that. You can have all the Sagittarian energy you want, just not the rushing ahead, the impulsive, wildly rushing ahead. You're going to want to take a quick pause before you do anything, if you can. Now is not a good time for taking initiative. So if you're starting a business, I'd second think that. Line 3 in the I-Ching says, when people with poor vision tread among sleeping tigers, they meet with disaster. And then you know what that means? You can't use your rational mind. You've got to use the emotional awareness, your intuition, your inner authority, and even others. Listen to their ideas. You don't have to give them power. But you don't have to defend against other ideas. Even if you think you are in the right, do not overestimate your strength. Keep your ambitions in check for the time being. Line 6, your work has reached a stage of completion and now it's time to count your blessings. That's totally Thanksgiving. By assessing the results of your past efforts, you can know what to expect going forward. Past proves future. That's what's saying here, but also take a time and be grateful for how far you've come. All right, let's shift over into the solution. We put our change lines in. We only get one yin line at the top. The rest are yang lines, and we've got determination. This is exactly what we had last week. Last CIRF week, we had determination, hexagram 43. So that's interesting. We had two different influence lines, but the same solution line rarely happens. First rule, do not compromise with corruption. Misdeeds and shameful action must be identified for what they are and quickly discredited. Second, you cannot successfully resist or defeat negativity on its own terms. Positive alternatives, which lead away from the nature of the problem, are more appropriate when trying to counter corruption with raw power. Third, the means used to counter negativity need to be consistent with the result you want to achieve. You cannot stop the spreading of lies by spreading more of them. All right, let's put our T-square Neptune into the calculator, into the conversion chart. This is where we see the rave mandala. See, we have the tropical on the inside, tropical astrology. Then we have the human design hexagram or I-Ching. And on the outside, we have Sidereal Astrology. And this is true sidereal. This is when you go out and look into the night sky, whatever planet you're looking in will be in one of these true sidereal signs. We use that for our solution. So Neptune is at 22 degrees 39 minutes of Pisces. And that puts us right into the beginning of hexagram 36 in the rave, or gate 36 is the proper nomenclature. And we also have just barely on the inside of Aquarius. I forgot to put that little star there, but that is in Aquarius. Gate 36 says darkening of the light. What does that mean? The rule of cycles in which decline is a natural but not enduring stage. So let's recap. We have, in terms of decline, we have Mercury in detriment, so thoughts are in decline. We have a square over to Neptune, so that's difficult. We have an inconjunct over to Uranus, which is change and discombobulating. Okay, that's difficult. But you have that sextile over to Saturn. And so that's the planet of decline. So just remember there's a lot of decline, and remember the overall arching basis for this 6 months is from that last eclipse, which was kind of an implosion or a massive drawdown, decline. You're already starting to see that manifesting. It's not in its final stage for sure. All right, line 1, resistance. The energy and determination to persevere in the face of opposition. The emotional power to handle crisis. But on the downside, a resistance to change that will always bring crisis. I'm going to weave all this in together, and I'm going to show you how both of these are true. All right, here we are. Zoom in. All right, wait, what? Or you might hear, damn it, Neptune. I want to hear it from you guys. When you guys get it, damn it, Neptune, I want you to come back to the video and post your comment. All right. Here's the overview of the influence. A growing T-square on Neptune catalyzes confusion, smokescreens, illusions. A pressure to know, while logic and thoughts are weakened with Mercury detriment, and even possible guilt-tripping self-sacrifices. That's all that Pisces stellium energy. This energy intensifies as we head into December. The T-square on Neptune lasts 2 weeks and ends on December 11th. All right, so what do we do about it? Here is our solution triangulation. We received 43, which is determination. Do not give up, be decisive, hold your ground, resist negativity, think positively. This is nice because it's taking the best of the Sagittarian energy, and it's serving that up for the I-Ching. Then we have the rave, the darkening of the light. Decline is natural, but not enduring. And we have resistance, the emotional power to handle crisis, or a resistance to change that brings crisis. And I'll show you, it's a win-win. And we have Sidereal Aquarius. So here we go. Overall triangulation. It's a very interesting how the I-Ching solution last week continues this week. Remember the first rule, do not compromise with corruption, for this is the root of the decline that the rave warns about. The darkening of the light is because of corruption. We must be willing to adapt and change in order to overcome the corruption. We must stand up and resist the change that they are engineering. When we do, a crisis catalyzes. This is the second part of that line 1. So we're creating a crisis by resisting, okay? But the rave says that we have the emotional power to handle any crisis. So that brings that first part true, that we have the emotional power to handle the crisis. Invoke your best Aquarian traits, because the sidereal sign Kingpin is Aquarius. Neptune is in Sidereal Aquarius. Think uniquely and unconventionally. Dive deep in observant awareness and rely on your independent self this week. So it's rely on your independent self this week. It's a typo. Expect extreme trickery and illusion from the selfish ones. Your Aquarian traits will help you through this. Detach and observe. Don't judge. Don't get engaged. Just observe. Don't escape. That one is also equally a problem this week. Don't escape. Aquarians can tend to escape from that observer. It's easy. All you got to do is just turn your back. And you can do it without even turning your back. Your mind can just start floating away. So as you're detaching and observing, you're not judging. You're just saying it is what it is. It sounds so lethargic, but it's not. It's a powerful way to do what's right for humanity without getting so emotionally engaged. Because there is nothing to fear. An Aquarian will help you not fear things. Be strong and do not give up. Humanity is resilient and will get through it. We always do. So one small quote, quick quote that I'll use, or mantra: it is what it is, and I am. Remember, Mercury and detriment, all these labels that we use, like if I was to put something after I am, it's just another label that kicks into my Mercury, my rational thoughts, and there I go thinking again. And it's going to be wrong this week, especially this week. It's going to just be pure illusion, trickery, but it seems real. So we want to just stay detached, observing, but do not give up. Be decisive, hold your ground, right? It's a mix of all this, not one or the other. It's the best of Sag meeting the best of Aquarius. All right. So, what we have here is make sure that you're spending time with what's meaningful to you, the people in your life, giving thanks or Thanksgiving if that's appropriate in your culture. And other than that, don't escape, don't fall trap and fall into the illusions and fantasies. There's a pressure to do so, and watch out for your escapism. The other gotcha is the impulsiveness. That's what this detachment will help you do. Be the observer. Don't judge. It is what it is. And it's not something to fear. Got to remember that. You can be engaged after that practically. You can be engaged with what's meaningful to you and equivalent to your values. How much you give, how much you defend is up to you. But at first, it is what it is, and there's nothing to fear. And be strong and do not give up. All right. Happy Thanksgiving. And I appreciate all of you. I appreciate all of our CIRF family. Love to all of you as we get into this very difficult period. We'll get into the other side, and we will check in with you next week for another CIRF report. Best to you, love and light, and we'll see you next week.